Hello everyone, my name is Kate and today I am going to do my July wrap-up. So, let's get on to this. Alright, so this month was very varied. Unlike this month, this coming month is not going to be very varied at all. So we're just gonna, this will cover the variations for this month. Let's get to it. So, I read one ebook, four of my own physical books, one audiobook, and one library book this month. I had 3 5-stars, 1 4.5, 1 4-star, 1 3.5, and 1 2.5. I read a total of 2,630 pages, and my genres were very varied. I read 1 historical fiction, 1 horror, 1 romance, 2 fantasy, 1 mystery, and 1 comic. Actually, that romance is probably not the best way to describe that book. I haven't figured out a good way to describe that book. We'll get there. It's my library book. It's kind of a problem. Pretty much all of them are adult, except for 1, maybe 2, and also how you determine comic books. So 1 is definitely for middle grade. I do know that. 1 is possibly young adult. I'm not really sure what to classify that one as. And 1 of them depends on how you rate comic books. It is. So we'll just go from the order I read it. Alright, so the first book I read was my 2.5, and it was the worst book I've read this year. So far. Worst book. And it was Gates of Fire by Stephen. I can't think of it. It starts with a P. It's like Prescott. It's not Prescott. I keep saying Prescott, but it's not Prescott. I don't remember his name. And honestly, I probably will never read another book of his. Just gonna state that. Historical fiction is not my forte at all. I don't particularly like historical fiction. Except for, I guess, like Toni Morrison could be historical fiction. I like classics. I like my classics. But I don't know. There's just this kind of, I don't know. There's a difference between something like just Hounds of the Baskervilles, which you can't read. I guess I should pick out a book that you can actually read. No, don't fall. There's a difference between Frankenstein, which is a product of its time, and a book like Gates of Fire, which is just looking back. These books are taking what they knew and writing about them. That's class. That's the defining factor, that they're writing about their time, and you just gotta understand that. Historical fiction writers are looking back from their time to another time that they didn't actually probably live in. Or if they did, they didn't live what was happening in the story. Now, yes, someone like Mary Shelley didn't actually meet Dr. Frankenstein, didn't meet the monster. But this is also a horror novel. There's a whole nother story. It's just writing of their time that is adding up to what these books, these are pretty much all classics except for Batman there. So that's my take on historical fiction. What does it actually say about the book itself? It's boring. It's a drag. It drags so much. When it finally gets to the Battle of the 300, which is what it's setting up to be, it happens. And it's interesting when it actually does happen. And then it's over. Really quickly. Actually. It's done over. When these action moments happen, they're really interesting. They're actually really good. And then it just starts dragging again. And I'm just, oh. And it's just, oh, it's so bad. And then I didn't realize who the main character was, like, 100 pages in. I just didn't care. Trigger warnings for sexual assault. A lot of blood and gore. Torture. This book is just, it's not worth pushing through. And I was so mad when I read, like, when the ebook is like 700 and something pages and the actual book is 400 pages. It just made me feel like I didn't tread through hardly anything. Anyways, this was my first book, and I had to push through it because of the book Junkie Trials. I'm done with that book, and I was so happy, so happy. Anyway, all right. So the next book I read was what I thought was going to be my problem child. Now, I will say this. Call of Cthulhu, the story Call of Cthulhu in this one, is racist. The other ones, I wouldn't say are racist, but you can... There was one story that I think possibly had some racist overtones, but it wasn't as explicit as it was in Call of Cthulhu. And that is the Essential Tales of H.P. Lovecraft. The first two stories in this book, which includes It Is, At the Mountains of Madness, and Call of Cthulhu, are just boring. The first story is awful. Awful. And then Call of Cthulhu is just like, okay. I don't know. Okay. It's not really okay. And then the next few stories, actually stuff was happening, and, it wasn't actually interesting stories. So, The Color Out of Space, The Dunwich Horror, The Shadow Out of Time were good, but their endings just wasn't, all three of those just seemed to they had their ends tied up in a nice little bow, and that's just not what I expect out of a horror story. That it seems all nice and dandy and everything's fine. That's not what I expect out of my horror stories. And then the last two stories came, which are my favorites. I think I gave them both 5 stars. I don't have what I gave each one down at the moment. The Shadow over Innsmouth and The Whisper in Darkness, both are really, really good. They had this kind of open ending. I think my favorite out of the two is The Shadow over Innsmouth. I think, and if you have been following The Sinking City, anybody playing it or you're playing it yourself, read The Shadow over Innsmouth, because that will fit in with The Sinking City. So all the scores I gave these stories came out to be 3.5. So it was good for what it is. I don't know if I'll be keeping it. I think I'll be selling this pretty soon. So, or giving it away. I didn't particularly like it. So the next one was a surprise to me, and also I don't know how to classify it because it's not a romance, and it's Silent Night by Daniel Steele, and it's not a romance. It looks like a romance. It's not. It's just a contemporary novel. I guess that's just the best way to put it. It's about a woman, who has a sister, and her sister has a daughter. Now, the woman we are following, she doesn't want kids. She doesn't want to be married because she feels like her husband is going to control her, and it's just not going to be good. She doesn't want to be just controlled, and like she wants to do what she can do. Then her sister and her niece get in an accident. Her niece is an actress and model and does a lot. Well, when the accident happens, neither one of them were wearing their seatbelts, and the mom flies out and she dies on impact. The daughter survives, and this is a story of her niece, the aunt and the niece, learning how to deal with her disabilities and getting her into real life, because she was just living on a TV show where she went to school on the TV show, let's say, and yeah, there's a little bit of romance, but the romance is not the main story, and it's so beautiful. Each character has this beautiful character development, and even Chad has character development. If freaking Chad can have character development in the story, you know it's good. Okay, read it. It's short and it's fast to read. That's all I'm gonna say. So the next book I read, because I just wanted the nostalgia of Percy and Annabeth, who are just like my number one book OTP, and you can't change anything about it. And I read Sadies by Rick Riordan. There's so much less Percy and Annabeth story that I remember in this story. There's much less than I remember. But I was just crying so happily because it's so beautiful, and they're just my number one book OTP, and like, I just love Percy and Annabeth. Can I just have a book where it's just Percy and Annabeth after they've become a couple, and just like, I don't know, I just want Percy and Annabeth. I just want Percy and Annabeth to be happy. It was also nice to read the story, the other half of the story, when I wasn't just wanting to like just read as fast as I could to get out of those parts and back to Percy and Annabeth. It's nice knowing what happens, so that I can enjoy the other half of the story. And in the beginning, there was some like, oh no, this is gonna happen, and then it's just like, I don't remember. Everything turns out fine, I know, by the end, and it's just like, I love Sadies. It's not my favorite of the series. I don't know why I didn't just read my favorite, which is Mark of Athena. I don't know, Because I want a Percy and Annabeth. That's why. I just want Percy and Annabeth. That's why I read House Hades. I want a Percy and Annabeth. This whole clip's just me talking about Percy and Annabeth. That's fine. It's 5 stars. Read it. Read that series. Read Percy Jackson. Read Rick Riordan. He's amazing. I love him. Okay. My next book I listened to in one day, and that is Stardust by Neil Gaiman, and I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. I think it was the writing style. For me, I listened to it, and it was Neil Gaiman himself narrating the story, and I was able to follow it, and it was easy for me to follow. And it's like 6 hours, so it was super easy to read, super fast, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I don't know. People will disagree with me. I liked it. Okay. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, like, all the stories about a guy trying to get this thing for this girl, and then like she's kind of terrible in the beginning. She's fine at the end, and then like it's good. I enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't, and that's okay. I like classics. A lot of people don't, and that's okay. So, anyways, moving. And then I read a book I was really, really excited about reading, and I'm glad I read it. And I love it. It was good. The 0.5 was taken off because of one character. One character is the Jar Jar Binks. It's the Umbridge of this story, and I hate her so much. All of the characters, excluding Perry, we're going to exclude Perry in this. Renata, story art, we find, story art, she's good. Bonnie, story arc, good. Nathan, good. Like, all these characters that we didn't really like in the beginning have, like, moved into this, we're okay. Except for Harper, and Harper just brings the story down by 0.5. Because I hate Harper. She's the absolute worst. Now, I'm going to save my real thoughts about this book. Because I am doing a full-length review. That will be the next video, hopefully, that I will be uploading. And oh, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be good. So this book got 4.5 stars. I highly recommend. Read it. I want to read more of Leanne Moriarty's works. Alright. On to my last one. Alright. So, fun fact. My favorite superhero is Nightwing. He is... Okay. We're going to do a little bit of background. Just a little bit. It's going to be quick. Hopefully, and I'll also hopefully do a full review on this, and hopefully maybe we'll just have a Nightwing book series on my channel. Why not? I'm promising a lot. So Nightwing, he was the first Robin. His name is actually Dick Grayson. He before this novel, or comic, he was an agent for this society. He was doing this because the Court of Owls, which is this group of super rich people, and they're all like, there's different sections all over the world, and they threatened Damian Wayne, who is the biological son of Batman, who is the current Batman, or current, he's not Batman, not yet, current Robin to Batman. This is him coming back to Gotham and taking on the role of Nightwing again because he wasn't Nightwing for a really long time. He finally got his identity back, and now he's getting to be Nightwing and getting to be Dick Grayson again, but he's not staying. He's just like, bye. I'm Nightwing again. Peace. I'm taking these people out. And I love that. I love that about him. I love Nightwing. I want more. I want to read more. I want to read more of Nightwing. I have one more, but it's not the next one. Silly me. It's not the next one. It's actually was part of the, what's it called? The Death in the Family? Death of the Family. See, here's a confusing thing. Here's this. This is Nightwing. This is also very creepy. This is a very creepy storyline, by the way. This is Death of the Family. I also have this book. This is a Death in the Family. Death of the Family, Death in the Family. Or, yeah. I wanted to get that right. I love that book. I also did my senior project on a Death in the Family. So, yeah, we'll be reading that sometime soon, and I hope to get volume 2, and we're just going to, like, put that away. Okay, it's fine. Anyways, 5 stars. Love it. Love Nightwing. Yes, I did. And maybe one day I'll explain a lot more of Nightwing to everyone, and get people more into comic books. Anyways, so that is my July wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. I will be reading a lot of classics in one comic book for the month of July. I have one fantasy, I know that, and then the rest are classics. Classic horror, classic romance. I think that's horror as well. What is this book? I think that's Hounds of Baskerville, so that's mystery. And then another horror. Reading a lot of horror also this month. So, anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.